still? Okay, but you're first in the top left-hand corner. Okay, we're recording. So welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. We are all on this call together to share the Access Consciousness tools with the world and to let people know how we use them. And our target is to inspire people to take action so that they can create their reality the way they would like their realities to be like, and to not have to follow the crowd or do what everybody else is doing, that you get to choose your reality and what works for you. So yesterday we did, Kashida, would you mind? Okay, thank you, they're muting you. So yesterday we did, what did we do yesterday? Oh yes, the clearing statement. So we all had a chat about the clearing statement and how we use it and how it works for us. And today we are going to chat about interesting point of view. So before we get started, if you wouldn't mind just quickly saying your name and where do you live? And I'll start with the birthday girl. Naz, you get to go first.
Hi, Nasreen from Botswana, Gaborone. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jules, you can go next. I'm doing random selection today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jules and I'm from Pretoria, South Africa.
Thank you. Andrea? Andrea frozen. Okay, let's go with Dale. Dale ran away. Let's
hi,
go.
hi.
Oh, there she is.
I'm Dale from Cape Town, South Africa. Thanks.
Thank you. Andrea, no, you're unfrozen. Your name and where you're from. Oh, there's a huge delay. Okay, Gary, you go next.
I'm Gary. I'm from Johannesburg.
Thank you. Carrie?
Hi, I'm Carrie, also from Joburg.
Thank you. Welcome, Carrie. Andrea, are you okay now? Or are you still frozen? Nope, still frozen. Let's go with Janine.
Hi, I'm Janine from Somerset West.
Rose?
Hi, I'm Rose and I'm from Johannesburg, Randburg.
Samaya?
Hi, it's Sumaya and I'm from Botswana.
And Banu?
Banu from Botswana. Hi, everyone.
Hi. And Kashida? Cool. Okay, and Laura?
Oops, sorry. Hi, I'm Laura from South Africa.
And last but not least, Mark and Sarah.
Mark, Sarah.
And we're from Randburg, Johannesburg.
Cool. And I'm Jenny and I'm in Cape Town. So welcome everybody and thank you so much for being here. So interesting point of view. How do we use it? What does it mean? What is the, if we can chat through what do we love the most about this tool and what we use it for. And I think let's start with you guys first, because if I get started, then I just talk forever. So let's start with Samaya. No pressure.
Hi, no pressure, yeah.
Yeah, no pressure.
No, I use it a lot when I find that I'm in resistance to a statement somebody might be making. So that's where my awareness comes from. And I find that once I've done that, it sort of does dissipate the resistance to it. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So who would like to go next?
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Cool, Janine?
Well, I would like to.
Okay, go Janine.
Go for it. Oh, all right. So I quite enjoy interesting point of view to enhance creativity. I came across it, even the concept of it before I found it, at a biodynamic thing where we were all looking at a garden and from a different kind of perspective because we all see it in a different way. And when each person is able to bring their interesting point of view without judgment or without it being resisted or kind of taken on, it's just kind of held in the space, then something else can emerge, which is even bigger and better than the one little point of view that I had. So I find it's quite useful for creating creativity.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, who's going next?
Hi.
Cool, Laura?
Oh,
sorry, Naz is on. We'll let the birthday girl go first.
Thank you. I found that I was always had an opinion, and I got very irritated with other people's opinions. If I agreed with it, it was great. If I didn't, it was always like, since using the tool and being, since the tool came into my life and I started using it, it just dissipates a lot of energy, and it then gives you clarity. And, when something is just an interesting point of view, it doesn't have a charge. And that takes you into just being an allowance of everything and everyone around you. And I use it a lot at work. I find that's where a lot of stuff is happening, and everybody wants to be right, and nobody wants to, and there's a lot of blame and stuff going on. So when it's just an interesting point of view, you don't get caught up in the drama of whatever's happening around you.
Yeah, and does that create more ease for you?
Absolutely, it creates a lot more ease.
Yeah. And have you noticed that when you are charged on something, when you have decided something's right and you've got to prove that it's right, that you put a lot of energy and a lot of stress gets created from that?
I do. And also when you not is other possibilities of doing something or resolving.
Sorry, honey, you cut out a bit. Can you say it again? I don't know if it cut out for everybody, but it cut out for me.
I'm saying that it takes you out of the drama, and as long as you align and agree or resist and react to something, you can't see any other possibility. So when you truly can step into interesting point of view, it kind of takes you a step back. You get to see a bigger picture, and it also increases your awareness of what other solutions are available.
Yeah, awesome. And then because also when you've decided something's right or wrong, you kind of get very attached to that, right? And that's when you say that then you don't see the other possibilities, because what the mind does is it wants to prove that you're right or the other person's wrong, or vice versa. And that kind of shuts you down to seeing anything else. So yeah, awesome. So it creates more ease, gets you into the space of more allowance for others, and allows you to become aware of other possibilities.
And
Nice.
Jen, it also takes you out of judgment.
Yes. Yeah. So talk
I
about
find
that.
so that I find that helps when I'm judging myself, but especially also judging others. I don't think sometimes we're quite aware of how much we judge others as much as what we judge ourselves. And just to make that interesting point of view, it just opens space. It goes whoosh like that, and then you get out of judgment of the person. And when you have opinions about things too, I know I've used this a lot. I make myself interesting point of view. I have this point of view until the charge on whatever I've got a point of view about it goes away, and that helps a lot. It helps a lot, just dissipating and getting you free from judgment.
Yeah, awesome. And if you had to, what does judgment create for you? What is the benefit of not being in judgment of yourself?
What's the benefit of not being in judgment?
Yeah.
It creates more for you.
Yeah.
More possibilities.
So what did it create when you were judging yourself? Maybe look at it that way around. So if you were judging yourself, what happens?
Small. It kept me small. not able to create as much. So when I took myself out of judgment, of self, let me use myself, I could choose more.
Yeah.
I could create more. It gave me more space to look at, like Naz said, different possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say that it's can help people get out of depression?
Absolutely.
Because that's what
I
I
woke
find.
up today. Yes, I felt like a pile of poo this morning when I woke up.
Yeah, I think a lot of us did. There's this lingering, right, smell that is still.
It was still lingering before the call, and I had decided not to do the call today because that's how much of a pile of poo I was in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just made it interesting point of view a lot. And I'm on the call.
Yeah.
So yeah, it creates more.
Yeah, and I think today is also a day where we don't need to really go into depth about it, but the who does this belong to tool as well is probably quite beneficial to use today, because with
I did.
Because here's the thing, I mean, I've been enjoying lockdown. Sorry for the people that haven't, but I have. But then when they said that there's an additional 2 weeks, I have to say I wasn't that excited. So,
no.
I was okay with 3 weeks, but like 5, not so much. And yeah, and that's the thing is like, okay, so now I'm not excited about 5 weeks. Now that's your energy, right? That's your point of view. Now you're going to create your reality with that point of view, because your point of view creates your reality. So now, because I didn't go interesting point of view, I have that point of view. I keep solidifying it by thinking in my head, I'm not excited about 5 weeks lockdown. And then that's what happened, right? It starts spinning off the thoughts.
Yeah. That's what
about
happened
money?
for me.
I live on my own. That means I don't see anybody for 5 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's like a whole lot of stuff.
But this is the thing, Jenny. Return to sender was not working. Because then I realized, okay, this is mine.
Yeah.
And I had then to use the tool, or I chose to use the tool, interesting point of view. And it did work.
Yeah, eventually it does. You know, sometimes it works faster than others. It depends what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And right now, if you're in a point of view that's being solidified by everybody around the world, it's not just in your country, right? It's worldwide. It's it can very quickly solidify in your world and in your reality or your universe, and you wake up feeling like a pile of poo. So it's interesting because actually when you said that, it's like return to sender was not working. That is like, because the first thought was, I'm not excited, whatever your thought was, but it's like, I'm not excited about the 5 weeks. Now it's like a little beacon. So now that energy attracts all its little buddies that match that frequency and that energy, right? So now here you go, now you've got the whole world, bud, because you put this little beacon up and going, I don't want to do 5 weeks lockdown. Okay, and all the shit that goes with that, and all the thoughts that you use to solidify that and reason and justify why that is the right, good, correct point of view to have. Now, do you see how quickly it spirals out of control? Because then you have to attach all kinds of reasons and justifications and all kinds of judgments to it to make it right. When if you can get to that space of it's an interesting point of view. I'm going to be bored. That's an interesting point of view. I'm not going to have contact with people. That's an interesting point of view. I'm not going to be able to create money. Interesting point of view. If you don't catch it in that nanosecond and go, interesting point of view, I have that point of view, it's going to run away with you. Now, it doesn't mean to say you can't change it. Of course you can change it. You can change anything in a nanosecond. The minute you catch it and you're going, okay, do I really want this to be my reality? So that's the question is, do I really want this to be my reality? Do I really want to suffer through another, what have we got, 9 days plus 14, right? 23 days. Do we really want to suffer through 22, 23 days of, I mean, sorry, bots, I don't know what your lockdown period is, but do you really want to like suffer through 23 days? No, but you will if you don't change your point of view. Gary, so you want to ask something? Enough more water.
Yes, I was just going to say the interesting words you used there was if you catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest problem for me. Interesting point of view makes a lot of sense because before I found Access, I found neuro-linguistic programming. And one of the things there was if somebody was saying something to you, your response would be interesting, not rubbish, interesting, and would give you time to think about it and wouldn't potentiate any further. So I naturally took to interesting point of view. It was the application of that beautifully. But when it's interesting point of view, I have that point of view. It's sometimes difficult to catch myself before I've gotten into that plague. And I found I learned more about it because obviously I'm seeing patients all the time, catching it in them and stopping them and saying, isn't that an interesting point of view? With their permission, of course, because it's not meant to be a weapon.
Yeah.
But made me more aware of my own cases of it. So I noticed it in others first and then was able to more and more, hopefully, apply it in my own life. Because that's the biggest thing, is catching yourself before you get tumbled into the what's it called when you're in the waves and you get pulled down?
In Shit Street, basically, but yeah.
That's a very valid point you made there.
Yeah, awesome. And when you were talking too, I got that like nanosecond where you want to make it an interesting point of view, but if you're doing it from a logical, calculating perspective, the mind goes, is this right or wrong? 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 Oh, okay, let me make it wrong so then I can make it an interesting point of view. That's not an interesting point of view.
Hmm.
Do you see
also,
how
I have the right to remain angry. I have a right to
choice.
It's right to be indignant. And that's difficult to go interesting point of view when you've gone into that right.
Yes, and that's often the toughest ones to let go of, is the ones you think you've got right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, you don't have to give up your point of view. It's like, have your point of view, but not make it right or wrong. So that at any time you can change your point of view if it's no longer creating for you. So it's like, I know I use the same analogies over and over, but if you've got you like your coffee and you take sugar in your coffee and I don't have sugar in my coffee, that's a personal preference. It doesn't make your preference right or mine wrong, or either or, right? But if you come along with a right-wrong point of view, then you're going, oh no, but sugar's bad for you, so you shouldn't be having sugar. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like, choose whatever you'd like to choose without making it right or wrong. And at the point that it no longer works for you, then you can choose something different. And there's an ease in the choice to choose something else, because you're not stuck in the charge of, oh no, I've been making this right all my life, so therefore I can't let it go. So that kind of went somewhere else. So cool. Who else would like to chat about an interesting point of view? Cool.
I would.
Cool. Banu?
Yeah, so it's something that I've often practiced before I started to use Access. As Gary was saying, I'm a medical doctor, and when you see patients, you often have so many opinions. You come across so many people, and you'd say, wow, interesting, they think like that. And you might even say, interesting, giving you time to pause and then, look at the options and their viewpoint. And ever since then, I've been practicing it a lot more in my own social sphere, family, even for myself, that I have this opinion, and sometimes it feels a bit uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, interesting point of view that I have it. And it opens up other things. It creates space for me to think of many more ways of looking at the same situation. And it frees me up, makes me feel much more comfortable, takes away a lot of judgment towards me and other people. So yeah, it's one of my favorite.
Thank you so much for sharing. Jules?
So pretty much what everybody else has been saying. I don't want to repeat everything, but I'd like to
honey,
add
actually, please repeat whatever you'd like to repeat, because your spin on it and your energy on it is what is the contribution.
All right.
Yeah.
So, interesting point of view. I found that when I started using it, I was doing the tool and not being the tool. It took me a while to figure this out, even though it had a way of lightening the trigger, but not taking it away completely. Like judgments of myself or others, it would still be there. And the more I would say it, it wouldn't dissipate completely. So then what I did is I actually used the tool Lower Your Barriers, and then started using Interesting Point of View. And what it did is it put me in the moment, in the present, and I found that it's much more powerful when you first lower your barriers and then go Interesting Point of View. And then eventually now it's like, I don't even have to lower my barriers. Now when I use it, it's much more powerful. So if that's a contribution to anybody, it would be cool.
That is amazing. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Who else would like to share?
That's a great contribution. Jenny, I try if I can see. My internet is very weak.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. If it's easy for you to be off video, that's fine.
Okay, I'll put it off because my reception is so bad. Okay, so I wanted to say thank you so much for all the sharing. And I don't know, I lost it, but when I make myself wrong, then there's only two choices. Either I'm right or either I'm wrong. And I mostly tend to make myself wrong. And if I go into an interesting point of view, and it takes a bit, but if I use it, it changes that all of a sudden thoughts come in, different thoughts that I haven't had before, thoughts that are new, that are not from out of my memories, it's not out of the habits that I have. And all of a sudden it prepares somehow new actions that I can take. So it's, wow, it's really amazing. And it, for me, it's a magic tool for when I make myself wrong. It's really amazing.
Awesome, thank you. Who else? Who's next?
I'll go.
Cool. Go, Laura.
Okay. Hello. Thank you for that. I forgot all about dropping our barriers. It's just made me feel so much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Interesting point of view to me is equals allowance. I know that's what we've actually been taught via Access. Often I'll find, because I mean, I just love sitting with my breath, and sometimes you've got that monkey mind that's going, and if I just sit with my breath and I let interesting point of view run, everything just gets quiet. There's a lot more space, there's a lot more allowance, there's a lot less judgment. Here, once again, with bodies, I found after doing the 3-day body class, you know, I've been looking at my body and experiencing my body very, very differently, because as soon as I go into judgment, if I just go, oh, interesting point of view, things change. You know, you don't, it's like that little, I don't mean to just go into wrinkles all the time, but that's the kind of thing that we do, most of us. And yeah, it's like that, everything softens, you know, when you use interesting point of view. I have this point of view, it just gets softer and softer and softer. I have found that I have to be very careful where I use it. Often I have to do it underneath my breath because it can really freak people out. They can get quite demurring, but it's great. It's a really great tool. And thank you for this platform, Jenny. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, and the thing is, with interesting point of view, with all the tools with Access, is they are to empower you to know that you know, and to create more ease and joy for you in your life. So often you can use them in your head. You don't have to say them out loud, but it's just so that you're not the effect of other people. So if people are trying to impel their point of view at you, then in your head, you can think interesting point of view, they have that point of view, but not from the space of trying to make them wrong for their point of view, just so that you're not the effect of their point of view. Because if you resist or react to their point of view, you will then solidify that in your own reality, if that makes sense, because then that puts the charge in your universe. Even if you align and agree with a point of view, that also puts a charge on it in your reality. So it's always about, okay, so that's an interesting point of view, they have that point of view. not making it right or wrong. There's a way to use the tool where you can be still using it as a way of making somebody wrong for their point of view. And that's not so it can create more for you if you're not using it from that space. It's like, okay, that's an interesting point of view. But I often hear people saying, well, that was an interesting point of view. They had that point of view, but it came from, they'd already had the judgment that it was a wrong point of view, and they hadn't let the judgment go. They just said the statement. Does that make sense? They said the statement, interesting point of view. That was an interesting point of view, but they hadn't let the wrongness go. So it's like nobody's point of view are right or wrong. None of us are right or wrong about anything. It's just choice. So if you can, and if you can be present with the tool from the space that it's going to, from the awareness that it's there to create more ease for you, and more space for you, and more peace and more relaxation. Because it's like whatever you hear, it's, if you align and agree with anything or resist or react to it, you are creating that in your reality, whether you like it or not. So if we say, like, I'm trying really hard not to use the lockdown as an example, but let's use it. So we've like now, okay, my interesting point of view was I'm not keen on 5 weeks lockdown, right? So now if I'm not making that interesting point of view straight away, I'm already in overreaction to that. Now I'm in overreaction to it. Now I've got to pull in all the reasons and justifications why I'm not going to like lockdown for 5 weeks. There's no space there for me to go, okay, so what else is possible? How do I use this to my advantage? How can this work out greater than I can ever imagine? How does it get better than this? And go into question, because I've immediately gone into like overreaction by not being an allowance of what's happening. And I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, but it would be really easy to make lockdown wrong for various reasons, right? I mean, we get that the lockdown is what people are doing in order to create more for the planet from their perspective. And we've all got our own points of view about whether lockdown works or doesn't work, or what should or shouldn't be happening, and the impact it's having, etc. But if you can allow all of that to just be an interesting point of view, and acknowledge that actually, if you make any of that wrong, that's not what you want in your reality. So do I want in my reality that I'm going to suffer for 5 weeks through lockdown? No, I don't. I don't want that as my reality. So that's where I've got to get really present and use the tool and be willing to use it to the extent that I'm willing to give up that point of view. Because the mind will want to really solidify that point of view that 5 weeks is going to suck. I can think of a gazillion reasons in 5 nanoseconds while 5 weeks is going to be sucky, right? But that's not going to create space for me. That's not going to create relaxation. That's not going to create peace. That's not going to create more. It's not, I mean, it's like, what if I can create and generate more money this month than I ever have so far? Right?
That's awesome.
I know, right? And like, but I'm going to, if I stay stuck in this point of view that 5 weeks is going to be sucky, I'm going to end up feeling wrong. I'm going to feel depressed. I'm going to get caught up in fear and doubt. Do you see how quickly you can just go? So the interesting point of view tool can be such a gift for you in this time. And then if you use it together with a clearing statement, obviously then it's a boom, right? Because then you destroy and uncreate everything as well as using interesting point of view. So yeah, interesting point of view for judgments, especially when you're judging yourself. Please, 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 please use it, because you will not be able to create more in your life if you're judging yourself into oblivion and then trying to choose from there, because that's not choice, that's just judgment. Cool. So anybody else? Who else would like? Come, Mark, you haven't said anything yet.
I was waiting for that. I didn't want to say anything because my mind's going crazy. So I'm going to take you out of your topic. We're having a conversation together about getting we felt the same as Rose, where well, Sarah was in a funny mood. She had funny dreams about me cooking lettuce in the oven and skewering lamb shanks and bribing them or something. So that was quite funny. But I woke up in an okay mood.
I felt like my home was in chaos because Mark was just taking lettuces and putting them. I woke up feeling like my whole life. So whereas Rose said she woke up feeling like poo this morning, I felt like I was sleeping on 2 cow patties.
But on my side, I actually woke up pretty cool. So mine started with all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. You still like the post that I put on our Facebook page. So my feeling this morning was just getting up and going, whereas us talking about it, interesting point of view, I have that point of view, could have been part of it, as well as all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And then we were going on to other statements as well. So it's amazing how everything can be pulled into helping each of those statements actually put you in a better space.
But I cannot say I use that tool. I might be reminded of it every now and again, but it's not something that comes to mind.
Yeah. So so can I ask you, are you a judgmental person?
Of self, yes. Probably of other things too, yeah.
Yeah, because you might not be a judgmental person.
I might not be.
Yeah.
I try and as soon as I'm thinking something, I'll try and change it into, oh, well, there must be a reason why she's having a bad day. It's okay. She'll feel better tomorrow.
Okay,
Or,
so you'd like trying to turn it into a positive or something, or try and find the good in someone.
Because I come from a very judgmental family.
Yeah.
Hugely. And my mom and my brother, they will never change. But throughout my adult life, I've tried to change things.
Yeah. Cool.
But I can judge, yes.
It doesn't generally verbalize judgments of people or things. She might be processing in her head, but from my point of view, watching her, she isn't. She is very much of herself, but she doesn't verbalize judgments of things or people.
Yeah. There's also the other side of this is like, are you aware of other people's judgments? So are you really judging? Or you're actually aware of their judgments of themselves?
I often listen to Mark and his judgments of self or other things that I'll turn around before he's even finished it. Pock and pod.
Yeah.
But I
But
think interesting point of view.
Because you see, the thing is, like the people that are seeking consciousness or something different, right? They often are not actually judgy people. They're very judgmental of themselves, but often not of others. What could be happening is that you're aware of their judgments of themselves. And because you're not differentiating between it's their judgment of themselves and you're picking it up, you're kind of assuming that you're judging them.
Okay.
It's just some things to look at. It's, anyway.
Well,
this
household journey is a very funny one anyway, because with Sarah and I both getting more and more involved with Access, it's quite funny because I'll say something and I'll get where it is sort of judgmental, but I'm just having a point of view. So I'm just stating a point of view, not necessarily judging. She's in that same second picking on me saying, "Pock and pod, you're judging." And I'm already saying, but I'm not. I'm just having a point of view. So it's very funny to watch the situations in this household.
Yeah.
Those whole processes running in a couple of seconds because we're taking digs at each other about what to do and what not to do. It's quite funny.
And if you've grown up in a household there where you've been judged a lot, anytime anybody has a point of view of you, you tend to receive it as a judgment because that is the energy that you've been with your entire life. So it's... Sorry?
Somebody had a point my back was up already because I was in that sort of upbringing was mine to a T.
Yeah.
You're always looking to what people are saying because when are they going to take a dig at you? When somebody will say something nasty about you. So I lived for many, many years. It's nice to get away from it.
Yeah. And a great way to contribute to someone, if you can see they're choosing something that's not working for them, is just ask them, hey, is that working for you? Rather than naming what isn't working. so that that person doesn't have to go into defense. They can go, oh, actually it's not, and then you give them the space to choose something else if they would like to. So yeah, it must be quite interesting having to access people in the same house. It's like, there's not much room, right?
Yeah, that's just an like yesterday when we said sometimes we end up on different sides of the house.
Rose will be she'll referee and okay, play nicely, children.
Yes, and the funny thing with their household is each one's got their own point of view.
Yeah, and to be okay with it, right? I mean, your points of view don't have to match. Just because you live in the same house doesn't have to be the same.
That was one of the statements just now about the interesting point of view. You had that point of view is sometimes to get into that situation, and I keep going back to the example of when I was in a class with Rose, and Rose had said to me, driving home, use that all the way home, and it was like, stuff you, Rose, I'm not going to. And then driving all the way home, I used it, saying, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. It worked, it diffused everything in my head. But it wasn't to make the situation right. I had a really, really bad opinion about what was going on in the class. And I diffused that. It's weird because now if I look back to that situation, I had the point of view and it's done and it's gone, but the situation wasn't right.
Yeah.
So it's still from that thing where you diffuse the point of view that you have and you don't want to judge, but how does one fix that situation, or does it just get left alone?
Well, maybe sorry?
I'm just thinking about manners and how we were brought up. So what was happening from what my understanding was from the class was that people were being rude.
Okay.
Well, I think in the situation, people were being disrespectful to the facilitator and disrespectful to the attendants in the class.
Yeah.
So, that's my point. I have to diffuse that. It was what it was.
Yeah. And that can be your point of view, and you can be okay with that. And just, there was something that I sort of, rats, it ran away. That's the thing is that like I have just probably more than one thing, but one thing to say is like often the points of view we're not willing to give up are the ones we think we've got right. And then that was what I was looking at. So then what you can do is you can use a clearing statement to destroy and uncreate everywhere you need to be right. You can observe that situation and going, okay, that was interesting. And just have it as an interesting scenario, right? But it's like if we insist on being right all the time, you may find that you still have a charge on it. And that often happens for us too, sure, because when we grow up in a judgmental environment, one of our big targets is to get things right so that we don't get judged.
Jenny, can I just dive in there? And I hear what Mark is saying, and there was an energy coming up before this with the question that I wanted to ask, is that sometimes we get these situations, and is it a matter of being wrong or right? And I really truly get how interesting point of view is supposed to work. But if somebody is being dishonest or being rude or whatever, isn't there a certain way that people are supposed to be and behave and act? I mean, I can still ask my question or be whatever or thing, but I don't have to be rude about it, or I don't have to be aggressive about it. And it comes like with children also. Sometimes you look at kids and my God, they're standing on the table and the mother's allowing them to stand on the table.
Yeah.
And I get, okay, so you can see the energy that I have that point of view, and that is a wrongness. But at the same time, tables are not meant for standing on, even
According
if you're
to
a 2-year-old.
According to whom? You see, this is the thing. We've set up our own standards, and then we expect people to meet our standards. So there's a whole bunch of projections and expectations in there too, right? It's like, according to whom that somebody can't stand on the table. You know, and according to whom can you not be rude? It's like your standards. So it's like, okay, so I wouldn't be rude, but if everybody else wants to be rude, that's their choice. This is about getting into allowance of what people choose. And if the person's
But you
being
see,
rude to you, it doesn't mean to say that you've got to take it. You can say, hey, I'm really sorry, that doesn't work for me.
this
And
is
move
exactly
away.
what Nazreen is saying as well. And in that situation, so it's like us in this forum now with all of us online. If we all had our microphones on at the same time and we were waiting properly for each other to have our chance to talk, and you had one person continually disrupting and being otherwise, and you left it, we could have a point of view about that. So maybe I'm going to get really, really peed off. Nazreen might get very, very peed off, and you might leave it. You're the facilitator now on this call.
Yeah, I'll be
My
on
feeling,
QR and have it. Everything's just allowance.
but this is where I think it gets difficult for certain people because
Yeah.
I believe, I'll knock myself and say maybe I'm just opinionated. But in another respect, I do believe I have integrity and I'm an honest person.
Yeah.
And that situation, it pees me off because the person doesn't have respect.
Yeah, but
So
you're expecting people to be like you.
So now I will sit back and say, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. But then, and I'll diffuse that situation. But then I might sit afterwards and question and say, hey, Jenny's got this out. And again, I have another interesting point of view, I have a point of view.
Yeah.
But so I've diffused that, but you still go back in thought. Like I'm not talking now back to the class I was in. I'll go back in thought to, yeah, whatever it was, the facilitator at the time left it, that's their choice.
Mm.
But how does a person or people that were involved in that situation get taken to task? Because in the next class, the next class, the next class, they're going to do exactly the same thing.
But why is that your business?
Can I be honest? What came to mind first thing?
Yeah.
But a fuckload of money to be there.
Yeah, but do you see how then you still have the point of view that you were right about that scenario? Yeah. Now, I'm not saying you've got to put up with it. That's not, you see, here's the thing is like, if you can get to destroy and uncreate the charge on that and get to the space of interesting point of view where there's no charge, right? You're totally neutral. Then you will know what choice to make and what action to take that's going to create more for everyone.
Okay, give me an example of what that.
So you could, if you have to go into a class again and that happens again, you can maybe have a quiet conversation with the facilitator and say, hey, you know what? I've paid a lot of money for this class and this is not, I mean, how actually, I mean, this is actually a brilliant example of using the tools, right, in the class. It's like, so you get that space of allowance. And wow, you've got a lot of charge on this. So, okay, how did this disrupt you? Like you've paid a lot of money for the class and somebody's rude to the facilitator. How did that stop you from getting everything you could from that class?
It's distracting. I was really trying to take in at that point in time, and it was two people behind me messing around in the back of the class, not even listening, giggling and chatting and lying on top of each other.
Okay.
It was right behind me. It was literally right behind me. It was just being left alone.
Yeah, but you see, do you mind if I use this as an example?
Sure.
So this is the thing, is like you're stuck now in the energy of that, right? This is wrong. This is rude. This is really dishonoring to the facilitator. This is not right. I spent a lot of money. I can't hear. They're distracting me, whatever. Now you're stuck in that and there's no room for you to see other possibilities or take action or respond. All you can do is react. So this is where if you'll be willing to really use the tools, well, you react in your head. You may not have reacted out loud, but the conflict and the overreaction is going on. That I've, like, you paid a shitload of money, they're distracting me, I'm not getting my full value, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Energetically?
Well, look, at that specific time, it definitely affected me there because I wasn't even listening anymore. I was fuming.
Right. So now then, if you can get to that neutral space, it could have just been, okay, I'm going to get up and move and sit on the other side of the class so that they don't distract you anymore.
You see, the way it worked out was it was right at the end of the session. So it probably worked out timing-wise where it was cool. I am opinionated at times, so I was fuming and I got up and I left. I didn't really hang up and talk or anything else. Rose had said to me, interesting point of view. Do you think it? So I used it. The next time was fun. And we were in the session. It probably would have got a point where I more than likely would have told them to shut up. I would have approached the facilitator and said something, or just said to them, "Hey guys, come on, you're not being fair."
But do you see how you're? And I mean, I hear you. I'm not disregarding what went on for you in the class. But do you see how it doesn't create more for you if you have to be right about the scenario? And this is the thing. This is where, when we've decided we're right about a scenario, we're not willing to give it up. So even if you've given up most of it, there's still a piece that, I mean, are you still the effect of that scenario? Is there still something triggering you there? So if it happened again, would you be okay?
I'd be okay. So it's interesting when I bring it up as an example, there's definitely, like you said, there's a charge around it, because it's almost something that's ingrained in me about respect. And it's my issue, something I deal with. So it definitely brings up something again, talking about it. But no, if we're back in that same situation again, I do believe that how to handle it properly. It would be easy.
Well, it's not properly. It's about that's going to create more, because it's not a right or wrong thing. Yeah. You see that this is still the dichotomy of it's got to be right or wrong. And that's not interesting point of view. Interesting point of view is not right or wrong. Interesting point of view is, okay, that's interesting what they're choosing. What would I like to choose? Would I like to stay? Would I like to leave? What's going to create more for me here? But from a neutral space, not from a kind of, no, this is wrong space. I can't tell you how to act in the scenario. Do you know what I mean? All I can say is, if you can get to that space of no charge, you will be able to respond to anything that will create more for you and for others. But if you come from a point of view that you've got to respect others, that is a fixed point of view that you believe you have right. It's the right thing to do to respect others. So anytime you see anybody being disrespectful, you will be charged on that fixed point of view. Yeah. Because you think you've got it right. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, okay, we have tons of them. We have tons of fixed points of view that we think we've got right. And those are the ones that are sticking us the most, because we're not willing to then go beyond it, because we've got to prove that our point of view is right. But what if there's something beyond that? What if there are thousands of possibilities beyond that? What if there's so much ease and space and peace for you that you don't even notice it? Because if you didn't have a point of view that people have to respect others, you probably wouldn't even have noticed. It's the point of view that creates the charge. You may not even have noticed. You may have just got up and moved to the other side of the room and carried on with the class. Who knows? I'm not telling you how to act. That's not the purpose of this. It's like so that you can choose with more space, more peace, more ease, more joy, more possibility. But if you have a fixed point of view that, sorry, Inez, if you have a fixed point of view that you have to respect others, you will not be able to get past that. Because
no, look, I hear you on that. That's something I need to work on, but it's not just the respect thing. There was a lot more to the whole situation.
Sure. Oh, no, sure. Sure. I mean, there's probably the whole class and the whole whatever happened before.
Being disruptive and thinking, just ignore it, and then you look at other people turning around and looking as well. So then that then catches your attention and it disrupts even more. And that was where it just fueled and fueled and fueled.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you actually
you could have chosen something else. Yeah.
Jenny, what Mark is saying is like really, I get him. And it's like really
of course, me too. There was
a of energy here. Yeah. And I'm like, I get him, because there's many occasions where you say, okay, you say interest, you don't catch it in that nanosecond, and then you've got to, and then you're working on this thing of interesting point of view, but somehow it just doesn't dissipate because
you're not willing to give up your fixed point of view. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why I say the ones you think you got right are the hardest ones to let go. People shouldn't be dishonest. biggest trigger, right? People shouldn't be dishonest. You're not willing to give that up, that point of view up, right? What if people are dishonest, and because I'm aware and I'm not charged, I know when they're lying to me and when they're not, and I know what to choose? If you can't go around changing other people and their behavior, it's about you be aware, you see how people function, and you choose what's going to create more for you. It's not about changing other people. That's not what the tools are about. We can contribute the tools to others so they can have ease in their life and create their realities the way they would like. But it's not for us to change people and their behavior. Gary, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, what I was just going to say was, this is a very interesting point of view. It came up for me with things that are attached that I wasn't able to see as an interesting point of view, especially in the beginning, because they're based on morals and values and rights and wrong.
Yep.
And that was very difficult to move until I realized I can still choose to see them as I am. I don't have to prove my point. I don't have to make even my children, which is still often a hard thing, follow my values and my principles in life, but I can choose. So I'll use an example of, ever since I was born, I hated smoking. I'm one of those, I could have never been a waiter because I would take your plate, but I would not empty your ashtray. I just can't handle smoking and smokers. Apologies to anybody on the group who's a smoker. And it would trigger me if I went somewhere, especially with the strict smoking laws now, and somebody would light up. It would really aggravate me. But I can now get myself that I have an interesting point of view. They have an interesting point of view about their right to smoke. But I can choose to go up to them and without the energy say, I'm sorry, you can't smoke in the restaurant, even if it is a vape. Please don't. Otherwise, I'm going to have to make more of a fuss and have the health inspectors into the restaurant and close them down. But I could say, and I would totally do that. But I can do it without the energy. The other thing I found that when I dissipate my energy, they might look around and, well, I shouldn't smoke here and put it away anyway, because they would pick up on my energy even if I said or did nothing, and go into resist and react against my anti-smoking energy. The minute I dissipated mine, well, they didn't have to prove anything. And the other thing, Mark, that I use very often when I catch myself is the other tools in Access. What else is possible here? Because if I'm also somebody in the class that, as I'm getting older, I can't hear clearly if somebody's nattering next to me, not paying attention, and I'm trying to get this point, I get very upset. If I might come and that I could put my hand up even higher, click my fingers, whatever it might be, but it's using another tool to say what else is possible here and what do I go into next. So it's a combination of being aware of it's my reaction. So interesting point of view I have, interesting point of view they have that they think they can carry on doing that. Lower my barriers, as we spoke about before, lower the energy so that there is no resistance and reaction, and then use one of the other tools like what else is possible here? How else can I resolve this? How does it get better than this?
Yeah, and the thing is though, it's and also acknowledge that your body can outcreate anything. The body's consciousness can outcreate anything. You can be if you can be interesting point of view with everything, you and your body with consciousness can outcreate anything. You can go beyond the fixed points of view, what's right or wrong. So I kind of like, I'm not sure if I can put this into words, because this is like an awareness that I have, is like, if we are not functioning from what's right or what's wrong, if we are being conscious, if we are being aware, we know what will contribute more to everyone. It won't be a singular thing. So it's kind of, I have this, like, to give you a different example, is like, if you're in a very busy city with no traffic lights, if people are being totally conscious and aware, they will know which is the moment for this person to go, and then this person to go, and then that person to go, and then that person to go. It'll just pop because the energy will go, okay, now it's my turn, now it's my turn, now it's my turn, now it's my turn. But that comes from total consciousness and awareness, with not what's right or wrong, or I get to go first, I got there first, so I must go first. It's not about that. It's like, okay, what's going to create more? Have a perspective of all the traffic and going, okay, now you. I mean, it's like totally idealistic. I get it. But I kind of just like, that's how I kind of, while I'm still like stupidly trying to explain from the mind, but like we could live like that, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We could live like that. We would know that person needs an apple, that person requires an orange. I'm going to have a banana. Do you know what I mean? It would just be, we would be contributing and moving around each other like this with no issue. But all the time we're getting stuck in our point of view that it's wrong to smoke, it's wrong to smoke in the restaurant, it's wrong to talk in a class. Mm-hmm. We're going to stay in this fixed reality of polarity and what's right and what's wrong.
If you know go back all the way to that old,
you're still trying to prove that your point of view is right. It's still our point of view that smoking in front of others is wrong. Talking in front of others is wrong. It's still coming from the polarity of right or wrong. And it's like not to make you wrong either for your points of view about what you think you've got right. I get that we want to be moral and we want to be doing the right thing and whatever. But there's so many flippant versions of what's right or wrong. You know, if we're trying to get this right from the mind, we are not going to be conscious. We've got to be willing to let go of the mind. And to let go of the mind, we have to get out of the polarity of right or wrong. And the tool for that is to really get to interesting point of view on everything. It doesn't turn you into a doormat. You still have choice, but you have choice from a space of no charge.
Jen got hung.
Oh my God. Jen. I don't know if I can say that again. Oh no, the best piece is gone. Yeah.
Jenny, can I just add something here? It's Dale. Yeah. Hi. Listening to Mark and his conversation, which I think every one of us at some stage can relate to, and I really, for me, it's like one of the first sort of tools of access is be the question, and with all when listening to what he was saying, like and we've all had this where somebody's chatting and you can't hear and you blah blah blah. My point is like, what's right about this? And for me, it would be like, if you have that in that moment of like, this is so irritating, something is coming up, like you say, there's something there that's triggering, that needs to be. And the question is like, be the question. What is this? Is there anything I can do about this? If so, what can I do about it? Because we are extremely aware. And
yes.
I think,
the thing is, if you're asking, is there anything I can do about this? If you're not in an interesting point of view, you're going to react.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's a combination of a question of, and for me, it's like, okay, what is this that I'm being here that is allowing this to be an effect on me? Because there's something that is like triggering, as you say. So what for me, it would be like, okay, so what is this that is coming up for me that I need to look at? And of course, there's all the other elements about going into the right and the wrong and the good and the bad. And yeah, interesting point of view. And, the question of what is this here? What is this creating for me that I can look at? Which I'm sure this is what, obviously has transpired and everything. But there was still quite a bit of energy on what Mark was
There's
saying
a lot of energy in this conversation.
Yeah,
all of us, right?
Which is wonderful, because it all comes up to be looked at, and either you look at it, you then let it go, or you look at it to change it, or you look at it to say it works for me, or this doesn't work for me, and then you can have various other awarenesses around it. Yeah. No, so thanks for sharing all of that. It was like
supercharged conversation.
If you want to test the access tools, you can talk to me and I'll pose a question.
Yeah. It's also, it's like the judgment thing. Often people go into, oh God, I'm judging. But actually, sometimes it's one's awareness. And because we're never been sort of acknowledged for our awareness, we immediately go into judgment. And that's also where the question comes in. It's like, truth, what is this? Is this an awareness? Or am I just picking up other shit? What is this? So because sometimes we we are aware of stuff, and it's not right or wrong, it's just your awareness. But then it's like, okay, now what do I do with this? You know, is this going to contribute to, I need to
yeah, and on that, Dale, when you say it's awareness, right? It's awareness anyway, right? We're aware of everything. It's what we do with it.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Do I respond to this? And, you know, how's it going to create for me if I respond further to this? Is it, you know, I mean,
but if you've reacted to it, then you know you've got a judgment on it. Yeah. But before that,
you've got a judgment on it. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's awareness. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question around the judgment thing. I'm wondering if it's not maybe a distractor implant, because it sounds like there's a lot of anger and frustration and kind of like
judgment triggers distractor implants.
Distractor implants.
So you have like the experience of the event, and that's then you judge the experience of the event, whatever you're aware of, because we've been programmed and conditioned to judge our awareness instead of just having awareness and just be the observer. We've been taught, no, you've got to judge it, make it right or wrong. And because you make that whatever you're aware of right or wrong, it triggers then the distractor implants, and then the fear, the doubt, the anger, the shame, and everything else comes along with it.
Yeah.
So that's
what I was wondering.
If you can catch it right at the beginning, right? Awareness, observation, and then it goes to judgment. If you can catch it there, that's an interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. That whole pain of distractor implant that comes after that doesn't even have to happen.
And that's what I was wondering. The distractor implant, maybe the charge, the big charge that's on the situation.
Well, the thing is like it kind of exponentializes it. And that's the thing, is that's the beauty. In fact, thank you for this, because that's the beauty of interesting point of view. If you are willing to catch it right there, you do not have to go into that whole whole
story,
whatever the word is, into all the other stuff that comes with it: reason, justification, more adjustments, more definitions, more anger, more fear, more doubt. Do you know what I mean? You can like kind of just not even go there. So that's actually, thank you, that is like such a gift. Can you see now the gift and the gold of interesting point of view? It can save you a whole lot of pain and suffering if you be willing to be interesting point of view on everything. A whole lot. And then you can ask, what's going to create more? How can I respond?
Yeah.
Etc. And you don't have to do that whole thing, because the once you've gone here, now you need the clearing statement, right? And all the other tools to get you out of this whole thing that you've gone into. Yeah, but if you catch it right at the beginning, like how amazing. Then you can really create and love your life, because you're not dealing with crap the whole time. That's actually cool. Thank you for that. Cool.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Sometimes with interesting point of view, like I've been using it as my meditation in the morning. So I wake up and there's a whole lot of stuff in my head, and I just sit there and I rock and I go, okay, interesting point of view. I have that point of view, and I let, like the other lady was saying, monkey mind just have its way.
Yeah.
Other times when I have an interesting point of view about the situation, I'll say interesting point of view, and then there's nothing. And I know that there's more, but I can't seem to get to it. So I'm wondering if there's another question I can use. Like I'm answering my own question now, but something around like what does this mean to me? What else does this mean? But to get to the underlying interesting points of view, because sometimes I just get interesting point of view and it stops there, but I know I can feel there's a whole crochet
so you can
blanket.
maybe use a clearing statement there and say, just everything that's bringing up, everything that's suppressing, everything I'm trying to hide, I destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, short boys and beyonds. Yeah, and then just add in the clearing statement there. Yeah. So it's like a supercharged conversation. It's so cool. Yeah. Laura?
I've just got a nice memory. Last year I went overseas with my one daughter dancing, and we're going to Germany, and it was the first time I was traveling overseas with her, and obviously we were on a bit of a budget, but we created the money. It was all well. But while I was looking at flights, and then I came up, you know, when you ask people, okay, who do you fly with? And I remember somebody saying to me, don't do Turkish Airlines because they're terrible. And then Truce Bob, the best prices was Turkish Airlines. And then I remembered something, I think Glennis Hughes told us, if I don't have a point of view here, what magic can I be? And I kept on using that as we traveled around doing all the things that we had to do. And that was phenomenal. So that's a nice one to remember.
Yeah, thank you. And that also, like, if you have a point of view about something, like something sucky, it's going to be sucky. That's the bottom line. It's like, and if you think you've got something right, you have to keep on proving you're right. So do you see all the angst and the energy that you have to put into things to either for them to either stuff up or to prove that you're right? Either way, would you have more ease if you can have everything as an interesting point of view? And it's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, right, to get to interesting point of view. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, there's no flipping ways I'm giving up my point of view on that one. But I do know that when I see that thing, that I'm going to get charged on it and I'm going to get upset by it. So that's my choice, right? I'm choosing to be in that energy when that thing happens again. And also, so cool. What else can I say? So interesting point of view. I have this point of view is to create more ease for you, to get you out of the judgment of you, to get you out of the judgment of others, to get you out of the judgment of what's going on, because then you have the space and the possibilities available and the choices for choosing what is going to work for you in your reality. And there was something else I wanted to say on that, and the train left the station. So who else would like to add? And then, of course, you have more allowance. And if you have more allowance, you have more receiving. And if you have more receiving, you can have more money and joy and happiness and adventure. So don't use it. Rather stay stuck in your fixed points of view. So that you don't have to have any receiving and all that other nummy stuff that comes with it. Cool. So has that created more ease in your world, or are you all more frustrated and tense and wound up? So everything that brought up for everybody, everywhere you still want to prove your point of view right, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, go back, pop out of lunch, boys and beyonds. Oh yeah, I need to return to sender. Sorry?
Nazreen even left the call.
Naz has gone, yeah. She's working today. Is she working? No, she's not working. Oh, Naz disappeared. Where did she go? Oh, her Wi-Fi cut out. There we go. That's what happens, right? When you're so super duper charged on anything, it's like fries your Wi-Fi. She fried her own Wi-Fi. Cool. Okay, does anybody else want to ask something, say something?
Jenny, I might have something if you have time.
Yeah.
So you cleared something for me the other day, which was very profound, where I'm too scared to speak up because I don't want to be attacked. So that really, really helped. And I've been able to get out there and put my point of view across. But now, after what you posted today about no judgment and all of that, I'm really struggling, because I'm like, I've never really had, I'm not a very opinionated person, but through my own experiences and through my own knowledge and my own learnings, like there's certain things that are true for me and I'd like to share that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I can give an example, like with people now saying that we're protected because of the BCG vaccine for COVID, which is the TB vaccine. So for me, that's yeah. So I agree. So now I'm not trying to push this and say, well, it's Bill Gates and all these people they're using this as another ploy to sell vaccines and make more money. It's big pharma. So that's the way I see it. But do I keep pushing for that, or am I just going to be interesting point of view on it? Or, so then I want to post these things to educate people.
Yeah. So what if you can be the question for people? And
okay.
Yes, so you know that you know. But the thing is, with this, it's quite a controversial subject, right? So this is the thing, is when something's quite controversial, it can be quite tricky to get out there what you know, but you know what's true for you.
Yes.
Now, this is probably off topic, but there are everybody has a different body and a different makeup, and some bodies can handle the vaccines and some can't. Which is why if you inject vaccine into 10,000 people, 2,000 have a side effect and 8,000 don't. It's
Yes.
because the bodies are different, and it may be the
Yes.
difference between humans and humanoids. Now, how are you going to put that out there? You know what I mean? It's like,
Okay.
yeah, good
Yeah.
luck. But you do know something,
Okay.
right? So you do know
Yes.
something. So don't make yourself wrong because you don't agree with the masses. This is the thing. It's like, okay, what do I
Okay.
know? What question can I put into people's world so that they can have a different choice?
Okay, because
Without
that's the
telling
thing
them
is I
what
want.
to do.
Okay, because I want to help people to wake up and see it instead of just being bullied, and you know, I mean, it's a whole big puppet show. Everyone's just being forced to do things. It's like this whole controversy. But
Yeah,
okay,
you've
so
got to
rather
put the
just ask
question into people's
questions.
worlds, yeah, and just say, hey, is this
Okay.
going to work for you? Is this going to contribute more? Can your body handle it? Is it required? I mean, if you, the humanoid body can pretty much handle most viruses. We're immune. It's only your point of view that makes you not immune.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
If you have a point of view that if you've got fear or doubt about your body handling any virus, that's when you're going to get caught out with it. But if you know that your body is consciousness, right? It's like you trying to get the words out, but it's like your body has a consciousness. You can create the virus. You may even have had it already and be immune and not even knowing you've had it. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to Dane's calls on that, but it's like, really, we can create this. But you can't create it if you're not an interesting point of view on everything, because you're going to be stuck in the ass by the point of view that you have that you're trying to make right or wrong.
Okay, I think I really have to work with that, because the thing that I'm struggling with is that I'm not allowed to work. I have to close my doors, and I get it, to flatten the curve, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, the services that I provide are essential. They're going to help people to keep a good mindset, to keep their immune systems up. But I'm not allowed to make posts. I'm not allowed to say claims that chiropractic can help for the immune system. It does, but we're not allowed to say that because it's the medical professions that are trying to squash us. And then there's a lot of fearful chiropractors that try and fit in with the medical realm. And I'm not willing to do that.
Put questions out there. Put out questions out there. So like find ways to question things so that people go, oh, because then they will, without you even having to say it, they will know if they come for a session with you, you're going to contribute to their body. And that will be because you will have triggered a knowing in them, and they will follow that energy. Because you see, they can follow that energy if there's no right or wrong charge on this. You open that space for them to do that.
Okay.
Can I ask, can you give an example of a question? My brain's just blanking as to what you mean. Like, I sort of get it, but like, I don't know, what question could you ask?
Is this going to work for you? Is this going to be a contribution to your body?
So if people are putting
Does your
posts like,
body
oh,
require it?
BCC vaccination works, you could probably say, well, what do you think? How do you think that's going to affect your body? Okay, what do you know?
Yeah, what do you know?
Okay.
What does your body require? And just so that people, and then they can take the discussion offline and they can ask you privately, right? And then you can have a conversation with them. But here's the thing, you've decided that your point of view is right about the vaccine.
Yeah.
So be an interesting point of view of that, so that it's a knowing, because when it's a knowing, you don't have to prove. When you've decided it's right, you have to prove. And when you have to prove, people can't hear you and they can't receive you. If it's a knowing without a charge, then you can put that information into somebody's world and you can allow them to choose it or not choose it, but without forcing them to choose it, because you've decided it's the right way to go. You're just allowing that space for choice because of the allowance that you are and the space that you are. But if you've decided something's right, you're not an allowance, and then you don't have that space and allowance for people to choose from their knowing. Because in some instances, the vaccine may help someone. It may. We've decided the vaccine's wrong.
Okay.
But some bodies can use the, I mean, how do you have 10,000 people getting vaccinated, 8,000 are fine, 2,000 are not? That's where you've got to ask your body, is this going to be a contribution?
Okay.
Because the vaccines maybe work on humans, but bodies and not humanoids, but that's a different conversation.
Got it.
And,
Cool.
and Jenny,
you.
can I also just add something? There's also what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to pull in the people who are like-minded? You know, that's another potency we have. So even though you put it out there, of, hey, I'm going to find the people who are like-minded, and what can we then be and do to create greater? Just, you know, just as another kind of energy around that.
And what was in the post this morning that triggered you, that you felt like you were not able to do what you were doing?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Was it about the points of view about lockdown and virus? Strengthens,
yes,
solidifies the energy.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's the rightness of your point of view that strengthens the energy. What you know
Yes.
about it is different to making it right or wrong. Is that making
Okay.
sense? It's when you've got
Yes,
to prove.
totally. Mm.
That's where you're solidifying the thing. It's like you don't need to prove, you just know. Now be the question.
Okay.
Put questions in people's universes and be an allowance of whatever they choose. If they choose a vaccine when you know it's not going to work for them, you've got to expand your allowance to be greater than your awareness. And that's where you've got to really be interesting point of view and not make them wrong for it. That's their choice. I know it's
Totally,
frustrating
yeah.
because we care a lot about people, right? It's frustrating to watch, but it's like the more allowance you can have, the more space you can be, the more you can be the question and the possibility for others to question about what they're doing or choosing.
That's very powerful, because I'm trying to force people and like get them to wake up and see the truth, but you can't do that. Yeah.
They'll just defend and not hear you,
Yeah.
not receive you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's a gazillion applications for interesting point of view. So yeah, interesting point of view, so that you can have allowance for everything, so that you have an awareness of what is possible and what contribution you can be, and more ease for yourself. Yeah. And whenever you get stuck or frustrated with something, ask your allowance to expand greater than your awareness, because you're aware of everything. You're aware of everything. We just block it with points of view and stuff. It was huge. I'm going to go and pod myself now and get to interesting point of view. Oh, it is so funny.
And punching bag.
These people didn't get it, that they're not supposed to have this righteous point of view. Oh,
It's a different energy to yesterday, hey, Jen?
Very. But we had something change overnight. So it just shows, you know, how quickly we can get triggered on stuff. So yeah, and it's okay. And that's not wrong. It's okay. You know, it's like just keep using the tools, so that you can get to ease and get to ease and get to more ease.
I'm wondering if this couldn't be used in a group setup, that everybody in the group just kind of one at a time goes in their heads or out loud, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. So to create a collective bubble of interesting point of view.
A collective bubble. A collective bubble, or what if we can like be interesting point of view and be that energy, and then it kind of goes out into the world. Yeah.
Yes, be the bubble.
Interesting. Yeah. We don't, because it feels like a little contained, right? It's like, what if it can go out into the world? It's like, it's a great idea. Let's let it go out into the world. The more we, and the more we are interesting point of view, the more we are the invitation for others to be the interesting point of view too. But that's the thing, is we've got to be it for it to change the world. If we are trying to change everybody else to do the tools so that we can have more ease, it's like, good luck. We have to be it. 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 That's the difference. I spent many years as all kinds of different practitioners trying to get people to align and agree with my point of view and the way I thought the world should be done. It's not a fun place to be. It's very frustrating. But now if we can be the tools, that's the invitation for everybody else to use them. So, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Everything this call brought up for us, Interesting points of view. We had those points of view. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Interesting point of view. Interesting point of view. Interesting point of view. Interesting point of view. We had those point of views. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view about that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view about that point of view. Interesting point of view. I had this point of view about that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I had that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. They have their point of view. Interesting point of view. They have their point of view. Cool. Awesome. Any last
Jen?
minute points of view? Yeah.
To integrate this with the last one, would you use the POC and POD anywhere along with it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, because the clearing statement can destroy and uncreate the charge. So to use the two together can create faster, speedier. Yeah. But like really get present with where you're not willing to give up your point of view about something, that where you're not willing to give up the rightness of your point of view. And see how much more peace and relaxation you can have if you give up the righteous point of view. It's not that it's not taking away what you know. You still know that you know. It's just not having to make it right and impel it on someone else. Be the space and the invitation. And allowance. Allowance, 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 allowance.
Because it creates a this and situation rather than, against.
Yeah, any judgment creates a separation. And it separates you from your being. That's the thing with judgment. It separates you from your being. It's why it hurts so much. It's like slicing through, like we're like an acoustical wave, and the judgment just comes and slices through your wave. And you feel it. You feel it in your body. And because you feel it in your body, then you feel captive to it. Like you don't have to be captive to it. Just recognize you judged. Get to interesting point of view. Reconnect with your being and your body. And the earth, and be you.
And do you do the same thing, like if you're aware of somebody else's judgment?
Interesting point of view.
They
have that point of view. Oh, sorry. If they're judging themselves, interesting point of view. They have that point of view. Yeah. Be the space of allowance for them. Cool. Awesome. Anything else? So, thank you very much for bringing all your interesting points of view to the table. so we can inspire others to use the tool and have more ease and joy in their lives. So thank you so much, everyone. And our next one will probably be Return to Sender. I think that would be. Yeah.
Thank you.
The next one. Cool. Thank you so much. Really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Big smiles. See you